What's up, y'all? Today I'm gonna do the just for today, and I'm gonna go by myself. Jules busy, so I'm gonna do it by myself today, and I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna cover the just for today a little bit, and then I'm gonna go into a topic. And the topic is gonna be enablers. Um, and that's pretty much what I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna wait and let this video get shared out. If you get on here and you want to share it out to a group, you can feel free. I'm gonna tag Jewel, see if she can share it out for me. I don't want to really start talking about the topic until I get some people on here. So I'm gonna try to wait until Jewel shares it out and I start getting some viewers. The just for today topic, it's about um, giving freely what's been given to us, and doing it with gratitude, and doing it, because you're willing, not doing it just because, not doing it out of like obligation, just doing it or not, and not even doing it because you're expecting something in return. But um, we've all been helped out in some way through this process, and it's good once you get to a point where you're stable and you're kind of making better decisions, and you're doing good, that you can in return give that to somebody else. um, in the beginning, you kind of really don't, you're not in that position in the beginning. You're not really in a position of giving anything to anybody because you're new to the recovery, and your main priority when you first get into recovery should be recovering. It should be getting into um, how can I maintain long term success, and how can I make this last, and how I can just basically do what I'm supposed to do so I can stay clean or stay sober or whatever the case may be. Um, I don't know. Jules not seeing this, so I don't know what she's doing, but I guess it's not going to get shared out until I'm done. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it. And whoever's watching can just watch the replay because I don't have time to sit here and wait for her to come share it out. Um, so that was the just for today. The just for today was, um, in short, it was give freely what's been given to you. And, like I just said, when I hear that, what it means to me is, you know, given given the strength, given the hope, given the support that you were given when you got into recovery. Because I've said it before, there's no such thing as a self-made individual. I mean, some of us are self-made to a certain degree, but we've all had somebody help us in a situation, whether it be somebody helping you find a recovery house, whether it be somebody helping you in rehab, whether it be a friend, um, trying to help get you clean, whether it be somebody, it could be anything. Somebody put money on your books when you were locked up and you didn't have anybody looking out for you. um, it could be anything. It could be a number of things. We've all had somebody look out for us at some point in time. um, so it's important to be aware of that. It's important to be grateful that these people looked out for me when I was down and out, and now that I'm on my feet, I can go out and I can look out for them. It doesn't mean you have to pay their way, or it doesn't mean you have to do it financially. I feel like we live in a world where everything is measured by a dollar. I feel like doing something for somebody is measured by, I paid a bill for them, I gave them some money and bailed them out of a situation, or and to me that's not the case. Um, I don't really I've had people help me out financially when I needed help and I needed a hand, and but I always like to pay that back. You know what I mean? So just like you would pay back a loan, when somebody pays you back, it would be the same as, somebody helped you out with some good information, or, you know, gave you some words of wisdom, and in return you give that to somebody else. Um, that's what I think of when I hear, give freely what's been given to you. Um, my recovery was done pretty independent. I mean, as far as independent as it can get. Um, Jewel, can you go ahead and share this out to the Clean and Sober group, please? You don't have to share it out to anywhere else. I'll be fine with just that group, because and you can share it to the group that Joanne's in too. I think Lifted in Recovery or something like that. But anyway, so as far as my recovery goes, I was like, as far as like doing it on my own. I pretty much did do it on my own. As far as, I didn't go to rehab this time around. I didn't go to treatment. I didn't do any of that. I just kind of just buckled down and made a decision. You know what I mean? Well, Jules supposed to be sharing it in the groups for me, so you don't have to. Um, but she's a little late to the party, so so as far as I'm concerned, um, for me personally, what helped me stay sober this time around was, my daughter was born. I've told the story 1,000 times. I'm not gonna keep telling it. Um, and she's where I get my strength from. And as far as, where I get my words of wisdom from, and where I get my my backbone from sometimes, is my brother. He, because I know he's gonna tell me what I need to hear. I know he's not gonna, sugarcoat anything. I know he's gonna always have my best interests at heart. Um, he's not gonna baby me, or cater to me, or, you know what I mean. He's always gonna tell me the truth about myself, or a situation that I'm doing. If I'm wrong, he's gonna tell me I'm wrong, and if I'm right, he's gonna, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna support me in what I do. There was a point in time when we were growing up where, we backed each other's shitty decisions all the time, and it got us both in a lot of trouble. It got us both in a lot of bad situations because, we just had that ride or die mentality where it's like, I don't care if he's wrong, I'm gonna ride for him anyway, or, you know what I'm saying? That's that childish like mind state. Um, we're still loyal, but instead of just riding, we sit down and we try to talk about, okay, where is this going to get you? And, I don't think this is a good idea. So just that little bit of like, hey, this is a bad idea, is enough to kind of talk you off the ledge, or make you make a better decision, instead of just going with your first instinct and just reacting, instead of actually taking the time to sit and think about, like, all right, where's this shit going to get me, if I go about it this way? And we didn't do that with each other before. So now he's somebody that I can depend on. We've gotten to a point, and we've matured to a point where I know he's not just gonna go behind me without saying anything. I know he's not just gonna do what I say, or do what I want to do without speaking his mind, or any sort of consequence. Um, so that's different, because I feel like we've both matured in the sense that um, we don't just go blindly behind each other in the things that we do. We always try to, come together and make the best decision. And, back in the day, he would always tell me, if you're gonna drink, I'll drink with you. If you're not gonna drink, then I don't care. You're not gonna drink, but don't talk about it. I don't want to hear you talk about it anymore. Either you're gonna do it or you're not. Either you're gonna drink or you're not. Just stop talking about it. So now it's a little bit different. Now we both have kids of our own. We both have things that we need to accomplish that we've put off because we've been, you know, dicking around doing stupid shit. And so now he's somebody that, doesn't just blindly, go with whatever I say or whatever I want to do. And I don't just, blindly go with whatever he says or whatever he wants to do. So he's somebody, as far as, somebody that's helped me. He's somebody that's helped me this time around. He's somebody that, you know, may have been an enabler in the past, but now he's not. Now he's somebody that I know I can depend on. He's not somebody I can get behind and lie and hide and do what I want to do with him and act a fool with him. He doesn't allow me to do that. He doesn't give me that out anymore. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't give me that free pass or that free ride anymore. So he's somebody that, I look to. So he's somebody that's given to me freely, and now in return I feel like what I'm doing with these videos is me paying it forward and me giving freely what's been given to me. So when a lot of people that might follow my videos or that might watch my videos, sometimes I might come off, harsh or, kind of brash or, a little bit harder, but it's because, you know, when you do this type of shit, you're playing with somebody's life, man. So, like, babying them and telling them the shit they want to hear and, kissing their ass and trying to make them feel good, that's all well and fine, but that's not going to get them where they need to go. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to push them to where they need to be pushed. That's not going to make them make the harder decisions. And it's hard, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm going to take the responsibility of doing these videos and, trying to lead people down the right path, I'm not going to, you know, pat them on the back all the fucking time, and I'm not going to baby them and cater to them and tell them that, yeah, it's okay if you do this. It's no big deal. I'm not going to say that shit all the time because my brother doesn't say that to me. He's hard on me, I'm hard on him, and it works. So in return, that's what I'm going to do for everybody that watches this video. So now we're going to segue because I feel like it's a good segue. So the just for today, the shorthand of it was give freely what's been given to you and do it with gratitude. So be grateful that you're in a position to give to other people. And Nicole, you're mentioning, being an enabler. And that's good because that's my segue topic. That's my next topic. Um, let's see what you said here. Yeah, being an enabler is hard. I feel like I enabled my mother all the way up until the end. So it's not easy to do. You know what I mean? It's a tricky game when you still want to be in somebody's life. You're tired of them using drugs. You're tired of them, you know, being that type of person, and you want so badly for them to change, but you also want so badly to be in their life. So it gets really hard to, am I being an enabler or am I not? It's tricky. Like, I don't want to be a sellout. I'm loyal. I don't want to abandon my people just because they have a problem. But at the same time, the closer you are to that individual, it's a higher likelihood that you're also enabling that individual. Um, and that's just, it's like I said, it's tricky. It's hard to do. But my segue topic is enablers, and it's because I feel like they go hand in hand. When you say, give freely what's been given to you, it makes you think back. Okay, who's helped me? And you think back to um, addicts. For alcoholics, I don't know about it because, like, financially, it was never really a struggle to buy alcohol. But I know for drugs, it's a everyday constant struggle to get drugs, and money is it. Money is everything, and what they will do for their money is unlimited. Um, so with my mom, it was like, you think back to, those who helped me. So if you're a drug addict, don't think back to the people that gave you $20 when you told some bullshit story about how, your electric was about to get cut off and you were $20 short, or, you got to do laundry and you don't have any money and your kids don't have any clean clothes, and, you cook up this boohoo story and then they give you the $20 and then you go buy drugs with it. That's somebody who enabled you. That's not somebody who helped you. Somebody who helped you would be somebody who, when you felt like you were going to use and you had a hard time, somebody who talked you off the ledge, somebody who drove to you and picked you up and went and got you a cup of coffee, and you guys sat in the car and smoked cigarettes and talked it out, and then you felt better and you didn't use that day. You know what I'm saying? Those are the people that helped you. The people that were in your treatment facility that you depended on, that gave you good advice that you stuck with. Those are the people. You understand? Those are the people um, that helped you in your life. Then you think back to your enablers. Um, Most of the time, the enablers are your family. 9 times out of 10, it's either your family or your significant other. Those are the people that enable you the most. Your family, your best friends, and your significant other. And you also need to think about, if you're watching this and you've had addicts in your life and you just weren't the only one, um, you have to sit here and ask yourself, how have I been an enabler? Because being an enabler is, you're feeding that monster. You know what I mean? And with my mom, I finally found that I felt like I finally found that thin line, and I figured out how to walk it a little bit. And basically, what I did for her was, you know, I pretty much got to the point where I'll spend time with you. I'll come hang out with you. Um, I'll come visit you. Um, but I told her, you know what I mean. If it's anything financial, don't even ask me, because I'm not gonna give it to you, no matter what it is. I don't care what your story is. I don't care if you're about to get put out on the street. I'm not giving you no money anymore. I'm not paying no bill either, because it would be like, okay, he doesn't want to give me cash, so I got a choice today. I can pay this bill, but then I won't have any money to use. So I'll tell him I can get him to pay this bill for me, and then I can have all my money to go use drugs. So I pretty much got to the point where I told her, like, nothing financial. I'm not helping you pay shit. I'm not giving you money. Nothing. So that's pretty much where I got to with her. And I mean, I felt like over time she got to the point where she didn't ask me anymore. It got to the point where she wouldn't even ask me for a favor to take her nowhere or do nothing, because she already knew how I felt about it. And I felt like, she was okay with just at least being able to see me and spend time with me, and she could always figure out a way to get her drugs and alcohol or whatever she needed anyway. So, but in the beginning, I was an enabler because she was my mom. So I felt sorry for the situation, and I punked out a lot of times. But as I got older, I started to change in how our relationship worked. Um, and you need to be careful with that. Even as far as giving them somewhere to stay. I know that could be hard, but even that is enabling, and it's it's hard to it's hard to see somebody that you care about out on the street. But I always had a mentality like, if you're homeless, maybe it'll motivate you to get your shit together. If I'm giving you a comfortable, clean, friendly, well taken care of environment to lay your head in, you have no motivation or incentive to get clean. You know what I'm saying? Everything's there for you, waiting. You're comfortable. You don't have to be out in the cold, and you know what I'm saying? You don't really have any priorities. You're just chilling and using drugs. So you got to think about that. Um, and you also, if you're somebody that's serious about, being clean and being sober, the people that enable you are people that you got to keep your distance for a while, until get you get strong in your recovery, until you feel like you're mature enough, because they're not the problem. That's something too I want to talk about. Um, your enablers aren't the problem. As addicts and alcoholics, it's like everybody but you, right? You always look for somebody to blame for your shit, whether it be something that happened to you when you were a kid or some bullshit story. You always gotta have somebody to blame to validate your bullshit, to validate the fact that you use drugs or you drink. And um, I can promise you that there's somebody with your same exact story or pretty close to it that doesn't do drugs, that went through the same type of childhood that you did. So it's just, an enabler is another excuse. So I don't want you to look at the enablers as people to blame. It's not their fault. Um, they're they're just soft. They're doing it out of love for you, and they can't tell you no. Um, so your best your best thing to do is when you're new into recovery is to keep away from those people for a little while until you feel like you're strong enough to where you can have that relationship, and it can be a healthy relationship instead of it being um, a relationship built on stipulations. Like, every time I talk to this person, I know they're going to give me what I want, so that's the only time I talk to this person, and I butter them up and socialize with them so I can get what I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? um, when you're fresh into recovery, or you're trying to get clean, or you're trying to get sober, all them people you need to stay away from. And it's not about loyalty. It's about, you need to do what's right for you. And as far as loyalty goes, if you're loyal to those people and those people are loyal to you, they deserve the best version of you. You know what I'm saying? They deserve you at your best. So why don't you take some time away, get to that best version of you, then you can go back and build that relationship. And that relationship can be better because now you're always in the right state of mind. You're not looked at like the clown, you know, you're not looked at like somebody who's always fucked up, and it's like, yeah, they love you to death, but you know, please believe when you turn around, they're saying you need to get your shit together, or they're laughing at you. That's just the fact of it. There's people in this world who either like, you know, man, I wish they get their shit together. You know, they're cool as fuck, but when they're high or they're drunk or they're fucked up, I don't. They're not the same person, and they're sitting there, you know, hoping that you get your shit together, but they keep enabling you because of that loyalty. So they're like, well, if my friend wants to get fucked up, that's my friend, ride or die, whatever. So I'm gonna let them be them. I'm gonna let them do them. And when you're fresh, you need to stay away from those people until you're strong enough where you can go back around those type of people. It's just like, and it's like I said, it's either that or they're clowning you when you're not around. You know, think about it. Like, if you use drugs, and we've all, like, people who've grown up around it, around drug addicts and alcoholics and blah blah blah, we've been the normal ones before, and we've seen the crowd laughing at the junkie or laughing at the drunk. So why do you think they're not going to do that to you just because they're your friend? You know what I'm saying? And they're not laughing with you because you don't even know what the fuck is going on. And that's not who you are. You don't have to be that person. You know, they fucked with you before that, so you don't need to be that person for them to like you or for them to hang around you. And if that's the case, then they're not your real friends. And that's a fact. I've had friends that was built on convenience, and that shit didn't last. The first time I was in a jam or in a bad situation, they disappeared. The ones that stuck with me, that still fucked with me, that still had my back, that were still by my side, those are my real friends. And they didn't pull me to the side and say, you need to get your shit together and stop drinking, because we were all doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's not their place. They're like, man, I'm not that dude's parent. He's a grown ass man. If he wants to get fucked up, he can get fucked up. And I can't fault them for that mentality. I had the same mentality. I wasn't if one of the if it wasn't me that night and it was somebody else that acted a fool, I'm gonna get my laugh in, and that's it. I'm not gonna tell them the next day like, hey, you need. Yeah, I'm not gonna Dr. Phil them the next day. You know what I mean? So it's up to you to make those hard choices, and it's up to you to make all those decisions. You're gonna have to be the one that, and you don't even gotta say nothing. You can still text back and forth. You can still keep that relationship, but you just gotta let them know, like, I'm trying to get my shit together right now, and when I get straight, I'll be back around. That's just, I mean, if you ever even get to that point, if you can ever even get to that point. Yeah, it's hard, Nicole, especially with a parent, because it's somebody that, um, with your parent, it's like it's somebody you need, so you're trying to get them together. It's like you're my parent. I need you to be here. I need you to be coherent. I need you to be a factor in my life, and right now you're not. and you're just like always sitting at their feet, just hoping that any little thing you do that person will come back, and that's not how it works. You're better off cutting that person off or keeping it. As I used to tell, my mom, like, I love you, I care about you, I want a relationship, but I got to do it from a distance because it's just not healthy for me to be around you. You know what I mean? Or I tell her, if you're clean, if you're coming down and you want to see me, then you can call me and I'll come to you and I'll hang out with you for a little bit. You know what I mean? You gotta, yeah, setting boundaries. You gotta set it up to where you can still be in that person's life, but at the same time, you're not catering to their addiction, and you're not making their addiction easy. You don't want to make their addiction easy. You don't want to help bury that person. And like I said, it's not your fault if you're an enabler. It's not your fault because you're just doing it out of love. You don't have any bad intentions, but it's just the way it is. It's just you got to learn that, and the same goes for the people who enable you. So it's a full circle. You know what I mean? You don't want to be around people that are gonna. It's like if you're new into recovery, if you're trying to get clean and you get clean, you go to rehab, you come home and the first thing you do is go back to the block or back to go hang out with all your friends and they do all the same shit you do. Why is that a good idea? How do you think that's gonna play out? All you basically did was waste 30 days of your life, and now you're gonna go right back into the situation. It's not gonna work. To me, 30 days ain't enough. You need some serious alone time when you get clean or you get sober. You need some serious time to yourself to evaluate who you are, who you want to be, the things you want to do. And you need to have that talk with yourself about how drugs and alcohol are the two things that are going to keep you from anything you want, everything you're looking for. Those two things right there are going to stop you from accomplishing anything in life. It's always, as long as you're using drugs and you're drinking, if you have a problem with it, it's always going to be a back and forth, one step forward, three steps backwards life for you. Always. And there's proof all around you. My mom used drugs most of her life. I drank most of my life. And it was always, you have one win and you have 2-3 losses. Because you're not thinking straight. You're not 100%. And you get so wrapped up in the lifestyle that you don't even realize that you're steady sliding backwards. Because you're too busy mixing in a whole lot of what you think is fun in between. So you're living your best life, whatever the fuck people say. You're having fun, and you're not really thinking about the losses. It's like part of the haha. It's like funny. You get locked up, and it's like, damn, I got locked up, and you're laughing about it. I used to laugh about it. Like, I thought it was funny. You know what I mean? Me and my buddies are laughing that I got locked up. It's funny, right? I went to jail. I'm like, yeah, this shit ain't no big deal. Went to jail the second time. This shit ain't no big deal. You know what I mean? It's like, and you convince yourself that shit's funny. That's why you find like a lot of people, and you'll get confused, but if you're paying attention, there's a lot of people who you'll have speak at meetings or guest speakers or whoever, and if you pay attention closely, there's a lot of them who get up there and they just, I don't think they're trying to, but they get up there and they just glamorize it. They're up there laughing it up, talking about all the crazy shit they did. Why are they doing that? It's because they miss the lifestyle. They put the drug and the alcohol down, but they haven't stopped romancing that lifestyle. You know what I mean? And to me, that's always been the hardest aspect For me, the alcohol wasn't as hard as the lifestyle because, like I've told y'all before, I liked the person that I became when I drank because I didn't give a fuck anymore. The more I drank, the less I cared about people that weren't on my type of time. If you weren't doing the same shit I was doing and you weren't trying to do the same things I was doing, I didn't give a fuck about you. And I started, over time, being subject to it growing up. It's like I started to fall in love with that lifestyle because that was what I knew. That was my life. That's what I knew. And when I started drinking, I thought I was cool. You know what I mean? Being 15, 16, hanging out with the older kids, drinking, partying, playing cards with all the cool older kids. That's why people get into that shit. They want to be a part of something. They want to be respected. They want people to care about them that's not their blood. They want to go make their own family with people who, they want to start their own life. And they fall in love with the lifestyle. And that lifestyle take over your life. And before you know it, your life's over. Before you know it, you're 50 years old. You got a rap sheet 3-4 pages long. You spent half your adult life in and out of county jail, in and out of prison. You spent your whole adult life on probation. And you've literally done nothing. You've just ran yourself in circles your whole life. And then you pass away and it's like, what the fuck? What did you do with your life? We're not all going to be billionaires, millionaires, great success stories, but what you can do is you can lead a life of purpose. You can lead a life that you're not throwing in the trash, that you're just wasting. You know what I'm saying? And it's just something we all got to realize. You can keep aiming high, but we all have to face the reality that we're not all going to be millionaires. We put so much we have so much obsession on a dollar that we all think we're going to be millionaires. We're all just looking for a way to hit it big, and it's like we're not all going to be that. But it doesn't mean you can't have a meaningful life. It doesn't mean that you can't progress. You know, Progression isn't measured by money all the time. There's all kinds of ways you can progress in life. And when you're wasting your life doing drugs and alcohol, it's like you're not really progressing. And I've done the numbers for y'all before. I've done it before. For the people that are in the street life, that are selling drugs, chasing the dollar. Most of the people that sell drugs, they got some sort of habit, and that shit's expensive. You know what I mean? Alcohol and weed's expensive as fuck. So even if you're just doing that, you're still wasting your money on a substance, on a mind altering substance, because for whatever reason you want to be fucked up. So you're still wasting whatever you're making, a lot of it. And I've done the numbers for you. It's like I'm being generous. Let's say you made $100,000 in a year out there on the streets. And how many of y'all know a person that's made that? Might be one person from your neighborhood that made 100,000 plus in a year. You know what I'm saying? All right, so you got that individual. They have a nice run. Let's say they do that for 2-3 years, 4 years. Right? They finally get busted. They get a 7-year sentence. While doing that 7 years, they're making $0. So you take whatever they made in that 2-3 year run they had, and you divide it, because they had a 3-year run, 7 years inside, Take that 10 years and divide that money they made and tell me how much they really made. They make shit. Because they couldn't get away. They couldn't find something else to do. They just got so wrapped up in it. And it's the same thing with drug and alcohol abuse. You just get so wrapped up into it. And for most, that shit goes hand in hand. Most people that, run the streets do drugs and drink too. It's just, it all is one big circle. It just all goes hand in hand. But they get confused because while they're sitting in jail, they're just thinking about all that money they made. And they're like, man, as soon as I get out, I'm getting right back to it. And they're only out for like 6 months and they get busted again, get another 2 years. So now it's starting to add up. And before you know it, you're in the red. You didn't make money, you end up losing money. You know what I'm saying? And that's numbers, that's facts. And that doesn't even count all the time that you've lost. All the time you're away from your kids, all the time you're away from your family, all the time you're away from your loved ones, all the time you're just sitting in a box. How much life do you think you have on this earth? Let's say you live to be 80. You think you got time to waste doing 2, 3 years, 18 months, 6 months every time you turn around? That shit adds up. And it's not about judgment or hating on nobody, because I'm not like that. We've A lot of us have all been in that situation. And there are people in your neighborhood that did finally say, man, fuck that shit. I don't want to sit in jail. I'll go get a job. Fuck that. I knew quite a few people that I was close with that, got jammed up the first or second time and they learned their lesson. They're like, man, this shit's dumb. You ain't never going to get away with it. They're going to always get you eventually. This shit's dumb. But for so many people, they get to a point where they're like, I don't know how to do anything else. And they can't swallow their pride and make a check. But they can swallow their pride enough to sit in a cell for 7 years while other people are supporting them while they're doing nothing. A grown man just sitting in timeout. You know what I mean? You think the streets love you, whether you're an addict or a dealer or whatever you are? You think the streets love you? They don't give a fuck about you. And when you're gone, the next man steps up. When you OD, the next addict shows up. When you get locked up, there's two more young boys that have become drug addicts now that are going to take your spot. You got to stop, hanging on to those stories about how you were this or that, and just let it go. And realize, like, I want to live. You know what I mean? I want to spend time with my family, and I don't want to have to look over my shoulder. I want to be free. And I know it's like a segue, but I mean, it's whatever. But you'll just hear like a lot of people like, I mean, I know for me, like, I looked at people that didn't drink, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I clown them, like, man, you're a bitch. Nah, I was the clown. You know what I mean? You look at people that don't hustle, like, man, you're lazy. You're scared. And it's like, you just don't figure it out. You know what I mean? And it's like I've always said, you know, you're gonna be the old head who missed out on so much time with his family, spent half his life in jail on probation, and sit down and do those numbers when you're 50 years old and tell me how much you made. Look around you and see what you got left. And for an addict, I mean, the story for you is simple. Your health's going to deteriorate at a fast rate and you're going to die young, or you're going to get the wrong bag, or you're going to do too much and you're going to die even younger. You're going to sacrifice your pride. You're going to lower yourself, lower your standards. No one's going to have any respect for you anymore. Nobody's going to care about you anymore. Have some respect for yourself and have some faith in yourself and have some, some patience, and go out and try to do something else. You've been doing this shit, whether it be whatever it is. You've been doing this shit for how long, and how's it panned out for you so far? Just look at the facts. You don't even have to think that hard. What's it going to hurt to try something else or do something different? Like for my mom, I told her, one time I was having a conversation. I'm like, Mom, you're an old lady. You're a grandmother. Don't you just want to like sit still and eat good food and watch TV and hang out with your kids and your grandkids? Like, what the fuck has changed since yesterday about the streets? What are you missing? What new high are they going to make up? What new scheme are you going to come up with? Like, it's all been done. You're not missing out on anything. You haven't missed out on anything since the first year. The first year you was partying and living it up, you can freeze that year in time, because everything else after that is just a repeat. Everything else after that, you're just going downhill. You're not sick. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need to make better choices. And you'll realize that the longer you're clean, the longer you're sober, the longer you're walking the straight path, the easier that shit gets. Why? Because you've given yourself a break. There's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't given yourself a break long enough to even think clearly. Your first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're still obsessed. You know what I mean? You haven't snapped that mental obsession because you haven't done anything else different to fill your mind up. Yeah, it's hard, Nicole, and like the thing with my mom, like probably the same thing for your dad. It's like the longer they do it, the more guilt they build, and they purposely make themselves to where they feel like it's too far gone, it's too late, I've done too much. That's just part of them enabling themselves. They strip their pride and their ego so far down that, and they hurt so many people that they just feel like, oh, I can't get it back now. Even though all the people that care about them are still standing right there in front of them. They just lie to themselves and convince themselves that it's too much damage. It's like I remember my mom saying that shit, and I'm just like, but I'm talking to you right now on the phone. You know what I mean? I was just sitting on your steps, and we were laughing and listening to music and having a good time. Like, stop lying to yourself. You just don't want to get clean. And I'm telling you from my personal experience. I mean, for some people, they might try to tell you like they do want to get clean, but they just can't. Well, for me, I didn't quit drinking because ultimately I didn't want to. I may have had the thought like, man, I might have been really depressed. Like, I got to get this shit together. Like, this shit ain't good for me. I need to get my life right. I need to stop drinking. And then come Friday, I'm like, man, fuck that shit. Let's go get fucked up. It ain't because I couldn't help it. It's because I chose to drive to the store and buy the alcohol. I chose to go party with my friends. You understand? You have an addiction, yes. But you can kick an addiction. People quit smoking cigarettes all the time. People give up caffeine all the time. What's the difference? And that's what I feel like, I try to do more than anything. I try to empower the addict that you're more than just an addict. You're not just that. You know what I'm saying? Don't label yourself and live a life with restraint because you feel like I'm just an addict. And your whole life after you get clean is just addict based, addict driven. Your disease. I want you to completely break free of that shit. I want you to be who you are, your name. Go accomplish something. Go do something. Fuck all that shit. Get clean, get your shit together, and go live your fucking life. And if you can help some people on the way, do that too. It's more to life. And I know it's probably not the popular thing to say, but you've spent all this time being locked up in addiction. Don't spend all this time being locked up in recovery too. Your life doesn't have to be all that, just that. Unless you want to get in a position where you want to help somebody and you want to be a counselor or something like that, go do that. Don't be that, you know, 35-year-old who's been clean for 20 years and he still goes to two meetings every single day. And I'm not saying it like I'm not, I'm trying to be careful with what I'm saying, but it's just like, my grandfather told me that he's seen a lot of people get clean and sober, but they were still the same person they were when they were drinking and doing drugs. They just don't drink and do drugs anymore. Go live your life. Go make up for all the shit you missed while you were fucked up. Sitting in some car or sitting in somebody's house or standing on some street corner. When you need help, there's people out there to reach out to. There's videos like this. There's meetings. There's always something out there that can help you. But ultimately, you have to move on with your life. You can't hide behind it forever. It's just my opinion. Like I said, it's probably not a popular one, but I just try to think about, you know, what my life will be. And everybody's different. There's some people who might really need that shit. There's some people who, if that's what you need to stay clean and sober, then 100% you do that. But up the ante, get into a position where, you know, you can turn around and help somebody. If you're going to spend your life in the meetings and you're going to spend your life all in recovery, start working towards something that can level you up as well. That can fill that void that you're trying to fill, because that's what you're doing. You're trying to fill a hole. It's not as hard to become a peer counselor or a drug and alcohol counselor as some people may think. it's not as hard to go get your GED, get a student loan, and do 4 years of psychology on the computer. There's always something you can be doing to move forward in life. There's always something. Like we talked about earlier in this video, the progression thing. It doesn't all have to be about money. Just work towards something to better yourself each day, no matter what it is. And eventually that hole gets filled, and you don't have that hole anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because the people who survive in meetings, off of meetings, who have a lot of clean and sober time, if they're not like a sponsor or something like that, they haven't filled that hole yet. That void's not closed up yet. That's just my opinion. Because like I told y'all before, I've been in meetings. I grew up in the meetings as a kid. Because my dad was an alcoholic. And I seen guys running the fucking meeting, and I bump into them in the liquor store buying beer. AA meeting. They never filled that void. You know what I'm saying? They never did something different to fill that hole. They thought that just going to meetings 24/7 was going to do it, but it doesn't. You eventually have to start moving towards progressing your life. You know, you started drinking out of fun, but later in life, you drink to fill a hole. You use drugs to fill a void inside yourself. And until you replace it with something else and you fill that shit, it's always going to be a up and down, uphill battle for you. Until you pinpoint what the real thing is. And I don't know about everybody else, but what makes me happy is progressing. What makes me happy is moving up. No matter how small of a step up it is, it just fills that void a little bit more. You know, I have a daughter. I have another child on the way, and that fills a lot of that. It makes me genuinely happy. But there's also heavy responsibility that comes along with that. So I still, to be truly happy as a man or a person or a human being, I still feel like I need to progress. You know, I still need to work towards moving up. No matter what it is. Like I said, it doesn't have to be monetary, just anything. Your spirituality, the way you think about things, your education, anything. It's the same reason why a lot of people relapse, because they just never filled the void. They were locked up for 6 months. They got 6 months clean in jail. They went to rehab when they got out, got another 30 days. They went to a halfway house, got another 6 months, got over that year. Then they walked out into the real world and never filled that void, and it eats them alive. And then they're starting over. And it's not up to me to tell you what that void is. That's up to you to figure out. I can just tell you that until you fill it, it's going to be a struggle. So I think I'm going to close this video. Anybody that's just tuning in, we covered the Just for Today. I didn't read it. I don't read it like Jewel does. I just kind of say the topic. And it was give freely what's been given to you. And then I segued into enablers, and then I just segued in general, just talking about general information. So if you tune in late and you want to watch the replay, you can watch the replay. I feel like there's some good information in there. And I'm going to tell anybody that's watching, if you're struggling, feel free to message me or add me on Facebook. And you can message me at any time. I'll always respond to you if you feel like you're going to use or you have some questions or you're struggling or whatever the case may be. Doors always open for communication. and I'll try my best to help you. Um, you know, don't feel like you can't do it because there's nobody there to help you. There's always somebody out there that can help you. And Jewel and I have said it on many occasions that, you know, don't use or don't relapse or don't drink and then say nobody put their hand out. It doesn't mean my words are going to be golden and they're going to save your life, because I've had a lot of people uh, try to tell me to stop drinking, and I pretty much, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want. So it doesn't mean that I'm going to fix you. It's just maybe I can say the right things. I don't know. The offer is there. That's all I'm saying. And y'all have a good day. Just worry about this 24 hours. If you're trying to quit drinking, or you have quit, or you're trying to quit using drugs, just take it a day at a time, step at a time, um, and set your goal high. It is, every 24 hours, but set your goal high. What really changed for me was when I set my goal for a lifetime. When I told myself that drinking is just not an option anymore, it's not something I want to dance around anymore. It's just not an option. This is something I need to maintain until the day I die. That's when shit changed for me. So, don't be afraid of a big commitment. Make that commitment to yourself and watch how it goes for you. You'll achieve if you set the goal. Don't make your bar easy, cuz you'll jump that bar and then, oh, I did it. And then you'll convince yourself, oh, I can do that anytime I want now. And then another 10 years passes you by, you know. Um all right, y'all. Y'all have a good one.